Billy and Mandy was a show that your parents probably shouldn't have let you watch if they were keeping track of your TV habits. Whenever I would talk about it, the responses were always, "I love that show," or "My parents never let me watch that show." And it was for good reason. Billy and Mandy was a chaotic mess in the absolute best way, and all you could do was sit back and enjoy the ride. They took all these weird ideas and realized them in ways that shouldn't have worked, such as, what if the goddess of chaos decided to make her own cereal? Or what if a supernatural duck followed people around and made it seem like they were farting? I think you get what I mean. The show worked across a vast spectrum of weird. And to tie all the crazy together, Billy and Mandy utilized numerous parodies, many that went over my head as a kid, and an extremely colorful cast that seemed to thrive in the chaos, whose purpose was to spook the bystanders and entertain us, the viewer. And upon reflecting on all its strengths, it became clear the worst episode of the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy. This is an episode that takes everything we love about Billy and Mandy and gives us the bare minimum, and that episode is The Really Odd Couple. In this episode, Billy, being a mongoloid, accidentally sets off a stink bomb inside of Mandy's house. And I'm talking a real nuke of a stink bomb. Damaging enough that it makes the whole house a wasteland, forcing Mandy and her family to stay at Billy's place. This means Billy and Mandy have to double up in the same bedroom. Billy, as he does, immediately annoys Mandy, prompting her to section off his room to make space for herself. This, of course, leads to fighting between the two, and Grim has to intervene. He mostly yells and tries to push them into making peace, but it doesn't work because the resolution is Mandy binding Billy and walling him off in a closet, straight up Cask of Amontillado style. She won the war because she's Mandy. Now, my summary may have seemed a bit quick, but short of seeing every second of the episode, that's all that happened. The episode feels so short that I'm surprised it's 7 minutes, and that's my biggest problem with it. The whole thing feels like a throwaway. You don't need to look any further than the title card to see that. Usually there's some sort of art to accompany the title, but in this episode, it's plastered in front of the house, and that's it. It's pretty atypical for Billy and Mandy. Alright, so back to bare minimum. The characters act as they should, but it doesn't feel like enough. For example, Mandy is a cruel, evil person that lords her power over Billy and Grim. Sure, she's that in this episode, but she has no point. She slangs some bad insults and beat up Billy, but it feels less like jokes and more of a reminder, hey, Mandy's a scary person in case you forgot. Grim is Grim, the occasional straight man who plays the adult when needed, but is also extremely childish as well. He really wasn't a factor in this episode. He was more of a way to bump the plot towards the end, so he wasn't utilized that much. As for Billy, I had no problems with him, but I could see people not liking how he slips into his willful asshole personality. Or better known as the reason why Jeff the Spider episodes are so polarizing. In my eyes, he's the high point of the episode, creating some chaos, which he does well. Except the episode lacks overall. For a show that takes concepts and synthesizes them in great ways, there's no interesting or crazy concept to play out in this episode. It's Mandy living with Billy. And don't get me wrong, if the execution was better, that could be a good episode. But it's not the case here. Moving on, a lot of episodes of Billy and Mandy tend to have a payoff at the end that usually gets a laugh out of me. But here, nothing. Even in another episode that I've seen get some hate, Look Alive, it was funny to see the commercial that Grim was a part of, not to mention the reaction of the Frisbee baby. Fully confirming that Grim looks way more terrifying than he did before he was made over into a, quote, human. All of which leads to a nice little callback to the start of the episode. In Really Odd Couple, we're left with a conclusion that's largely unsatisfying and leaves you wanting something. Anything. The jokes that we get at the end are Grim being called Grimmy, and the visual gag of Billy being put behind a brick wall. Which, in a show where Billy eats parts of himself on more than one occasion, is honestly very tame. And to add insult to injury, this episode is surrounded by really good episodes in creating chaos and who killed who. One having some amazing character humor and the other having a downright spooky ending and payoff. Both episodes that only accent the weakness of this one. But I can't be completely negative. The scene where Billy stink bombs Mandy's house was fun, coupling some disgusting sights with Mandy desperately searching for air while still commanding Grim to clean it all up. Even at its lowest, it's still remarkable, because at the end of the day, it's still Billy and Mandy. It does have some level of weird charm that the show's known for. If this episode came on at random somewhere, I'm not gonna rush to change the channel or anything, but this is it. The worst episode of Billy and Mandy. Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? What are your personal bests and worsts of Billy and Mandy? Let us know down in the comments, and for more videos like this, subscribe to Stunt Club Soda and keep coming back for those uploads.